Most container gardens don't fail because of watering or sunlight. They fail because the soil quietly runs out of life. You can start with the best potting mix money can buy, plant healthy seedlings, and follow all the right advice. But within weeks, growth slows down, leaves pale out, and yields drop. That's not bad luck. That's nutrient collapse. Container soil doesn't regenerate on its own, and most gardeners don't have a system to replace what plants are constantly pulling out. Nutrient collapse in containers is a real issue, folks. Even when everything else seems right, your plants can start to struggle simply because the soil isn't being replenished. So, now here's the part most people overlook. Even if you're feeding your plants, you're probably feeding them in spikes, not in a steady cycle, and honestly, that's where problems start. One thing that helped me fix that early on was controlling how I produce organic inputs. I use a 4-liter electric composter for kitchen, a smart countertop compost bin. It turns daily kitchen scraps into dry, stable material I can use immediately instead of waiting weeks for decomposition. The key benefit is consistency. You're not guessing when compost is ready or dealing with rotting scraps attracting pests indoors. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. It's a small shift, but it solves a major bottleneck in container gardening. Now let's get into the system that actually keeps your containers alive long term. So why is your container soil slowly dying? Well, every time you water your containers, you're actually flushing nutrients out. And, every time your plants grow, they're extracting minerals from that limited soil volume. Unlike in-ground beds, there's just no deep reserve, no natural ecosystem constantly replenishing what's lost. And here's where, honestly, that's what most advice goes wrong. People will tell you to just fertilize more, and that might work in the short term, but it really creates dependency. You get quick growth, sure, but then you see sudden deficiencies. Over time, plants become weaker, not stronger. I've actually run side-by-side tests using liquid fertilizers versus biologically active systems, and let me tell you, the difference isn't subtle. The fertilized plants grow fast at first, then they just kind of plateau. But the biologically fed plants, they grow steadily and really outperform over time. The missing piece here isn't just nutrients, it's nutrient cycling, and that's exactly what a worm tower creates. So, let's talk about what a worm tower actually does inside a container. A worm tower is basically a vertical composting channel built directly inside your container. Instead of feeding the soil from the top and just hoping it trickles down, you set up a central system that distributes nutrients from within. You take a small perforated pipe or tube, usually about 5 to 10 centimeters in diameter, and insert it vertically into your container. That pipe should go almost all the way to the bottom, with the top sticking just a bit above the soil. This right here becomes your feeding point. You add food scraps into the tube, and then worms move in through the holes, breaking everything down and spreading nutrients into the surrounding soil. But here's the key difference that most people don't really realize. This isn't just about composting. It's about creating a living nutrient engine inside a confined space. Now, why does this work better than top feeding or just mixing compost? Well, when you top dress compost onto a container, most of the nutrients stay close to the surface. In hot climates or with frequent watering, a lot of that actually gets lost before roots can even get to it. When you mix compost into the soil, you'll get an initial boost. But then, honestly, it's gone. There's no ongoing input. A worm tower changes that completely. It delivers nutrients slowly from the center outward, exactly where roots are growing. It keeps microbial life active, which is what actually makes nutrients available to plants. In one of my container setups, just a standard 20-liter grow bag, I ran a comparison. One had no worm tower, just occasional feeding. The other had a small vertical tube with regular scrap input. After 6 weeks, the difference was obvious. The worm tower plant had thicker stems, darker leaves, and about 25% more growth overall. Same soil, same plant variety, same watering. The only difference was how nutrients were delivered. How to build a worm tower that actually works. This is where precision matters more than people think. If your tube is too wide, you lose efficiency. Too narrow, and it clogs. That 5 to 10 centimeter range works well for most containers. Drill holes evenly around the tube, about 1 to 2 centimeters apart. You want enough access for worms and microbes, but not so many that material spills out. When placing it, don't just drop it into loose soil. Pack the soil around it firmly so there's direct contact. This allows organisms to move in and out easily. And here's a step most people skip that makes a big difference. Start with a base layer inside the tube, dry leaves, shredded cardboard, or small twigs. This creates airflow and prevents the bottom from turning into a compacted anaerobic mess. Then you can begin feeding. What you feed matters more than how much. A worm tower is not a dumping ground. If you overload it, especially with wet scraps, it slows down or starts to smell. That's usually where people give up and think the method doesn't work. You need balance. For every handful of food, scraps, add some dry material. This keeps the system aerobic and prevents excess moisture buildup. This is where having pre-processed material from something like that electric composter becomes useful again. It's already dry and partially broken down, so it integrates into the system without causing imbalance. I usually feed small amounts every 2 to 3 days instead of large amounts once a week. That steady input keeps the system active without overwhelming it, and always cover the top. A simple lid or cap prevents flies and helps regulate moisture. Why worms show up even if you don't add them? This surprises a lot of people. In outdoor containers, worms often find their way in naturally, especially if your soil stays moist and you're adding organic material regularly. But even before worms fully establish, microbes start doing the work. Bacteria and fungi break down material, creating conditions that attract worms over time. If you want to speed things up, you can introduce a handful of composting worms, but it's not always necessary. The system builds itself if you maintain it properly. So let's talk about how this actually changes root growth inside containers. Here's something you won't see talked about enough. Roots don't just grow randomly, they grow toward nutrients and microbial activity. With a worm tower, you're creating a consistent nutrient zone. Roots start to cluster around that area, creating a dense, highly active root system. I've pulled plants out of containers using this method, and you can literally see the difference. The root mass is thicker and more evenly distributed instead of circling the edges like you often see in pots. That directly translates to better nutrient uptake and, well, stronger plants. And stronger plants are more resistant to pests, stress, and environmental changes. Now, how does this scale from one pot to an entire system? Once you see how effective this is, it's honestly hard to go back. For small containers, one tube is enough. For larger grow bags or raised containers, you can use 2 smaller tubes instead of 1 large one. In balcony gardens or tight spaces, this method is especially powerful because it eliminates the need for separate composting areas. Everything happens right inside the container. And if you're managing multiple pots, you can stagger feeding schedules so you always have active systems working without needing a large compost pile. Why do most gardeners overlook this and regret it later? The biggest mistake I see is people focusing on inputs instead of systems. They buy better soil, better fertilizers, better seeds, but they don't build a system that sustains itself. A worm tower is simple, but it really shifts your entire approach. You stop reacting to problems and start preventing them. Your soil becomes more stable, your plants become more consistent, and over time, your workload actually decreases because the system is doing more of the work for you. If you're serious about improving your container garden, this is one of those upgrades that pays off every single week. If you're getting value from this, subscribe now, because this is exactly what we focus on here. Practical systems that actually work, not surface-level advice. So, why is this really about understanding soil biology? At the end of the day, this isn't about a tube or a trick. It's about understanding how soil life works. Plants don't feed on compost directly. They rely on microbes to break it down into forms they can absorb. When you support that process consistently, everything improves. When you ignore it, you end up constantly trying to fix symptoms. A worm tower is just one of the simplest ways to support that biology in a controlled, efficient way, especially in containers where space is limited and mistakes show up quickly. If you build this system and feed it properly, your soil won't just sustain your plants, it will get better with every cycle. And that's when container gardening stops being a struggle and starts becoming predictable. If you found this useful, share it with someone who's struggling with container gardening, and subscribe for more real, experience-driven techniques that actually deliver results.